Chapter 1. Silent Creek. Legends said that deep in the forest, far from prying eyes, stood the abandoned sanatorium, Silent Creek. It once treated a rare disease the locals called the whispering sickness. Patients lost their voices, replaced by a barely audible, maddening whisper. It was said that the head physician, Dr. Reinhard, had found a cure, but some terrible incident forced the authorities to close the place forever. For Alex, an adventurer and explorer of abandoned places, this story was a challenge. One autumn evening, as the sun painted the sky in bloody hues, he stood before the massive, time-darkened gates of the sanatorium. The air was still and heavy, as if time itself had frozen in this cursed place. Chapter 2. The Locked Door. With a creak of rusty hinges, the heavy oak door gave way. Inside, Alex was met with the smell of decay, medicine, and damp earth. A thick layer of dust covered every surface, and barely visible spores hung in the air. After taking a few steps into the vast hall, he heard a dull thud behind him. The door had slammed shut. Alex flinched, ran to it, and pulled the handle. Locked. His heart pounded wildly. He was alone in complete darkness. A click of the switch, and the narrow beam of his flashlight tore peeling walls and long, distorted shadows from the gloom, which danced as if alive. Chapter 3. The First Whisper. Alex decided to move deeper into the building, trying not to think about being trapped. Corridors branched out like veins, leading him into the heart of the sanatorium. He peeked into one of the wards, a rusty bed frame, an overturned nightstand, and a torn book on the floor. Suddenly, an icy chill ran down his spine, and then he heard it. A barely perceptible whisper, as thin as a spider's web. It sounded like the rustling of dry leaves. Alex froze, listening. Silence. Just the wind, he told himself, but his voice sounded uncertain. Chapter 4. The Doctor's Office. On the door of one of the offices, a brass plate remained. Dr. A. Reinhard, head physician. Inside, unlike the rest of the building, there was almost no dust. A huge desk, bookshelves filled with medical tomes, and a massive leather armchair with its back to the door. On the desk lay an open folder, a patient's file. Alex moved closer, and the beam of his flashlight fell on the yellowed pages. Chapter 5. The Case File. He began to read. Patient, Elena V. Diagnosis, whispering sickness, terminal stage. The doctor's notes were initially clear and scientific, but the further he read, the more insane they became. Reinhardt wrote not of treatment, but of preservation, of voice archiving. The last entry was made with a trembling hand. The voice is the vessel of the soul. I have learned to extract it. They no longer suffer. They will be with me forever, in my collection. At that moment the whispering returned, but now it was louder, more insistent. Alex heard dozens of voices merging into one horrific chorus. Chapter 6. They Call His Name. Out of the corner of his eye, Alex noticed movement. He spun around, pointing his flashlight into a dark corner of the office. No one. But the whispering grew closer, seeming to emanate from the walls themselves. And amidst this chaos of sounds, he suddenly made out a single word, spoken in an icy, lifeless voice. Alex. His name. They knew his name. A cold sweat broke out on his skin. This wasn't just an abandoned building. It was alive, and it was hungry. Chapter 7. The Escape. Survival instinct took over. Alex broke into a run. He raced through endless corridors, his footsteps echoing loudly in the dead silence, broken only by the chorus of whispering voices that now pursued him, growing louder and more furious. The doors of the wards flew past like open mouths, ready to devour him. He ran blindly, trying to find an exit, but the labyrinth of corridors seemed to change, leading him deeper and deeper into the cursed belly of the sanatorium. Gasping for breath, he stumbled into a large room.
Chapter 8. The Operating Theater. It was an operating theater. In the center stood a cumbersome table, entangled in wires that led to a strange apparatus with numerous glass flasks. The shelves along the walls were lined with hundreds of glass jars. In each of them, a faint, phosphorescent glow swirled. The whispering here was deafening. Alex understood these were not the voices of patients. They were the patients. Their voices, their souls, trapped in glass prisons.
Chapter 9. The Collector. Suddenly he heard a soft creak. The same leather armchair from the office now stood in the corner of the operating theater. And it was no longer empty. Slowly, with inhuman grace, a tall, withered figure in a white coat rose from it, the ghostly silhouette of Dr. Reinhard. He had no face, only dark voids where his eyes and mouth should be. He made no sound, but a loud, imperious whisper echoed in Alex's mind. "What a beautiful, strong voice! It will be the jewel of my collection." Chapter 10. Silence. Alex opened his mouth to scream, to let out a cry of pure terror, but only a quiet, hoarse whisper escaped his throat. His own voice had betrayed him. He felt something invisible being pulled from him, and his scream joined the chorus in the walls. The last thing he saw was the doctor's faceless head tilting in a gesture of triumph. The flashlight fell from his weakened hand, its beam momentarily illuminating Alex's silently screaming face before rolling across the floor. And then came complete, absolute darkness and silence.